Hi everybody, I'm Amy and this is Joe, and we're here today because we want to talk to you about something that's really important for your health, and that is sleep. So sleep has always been really important to me, and when I don't get the proper sleep, I just do not function well at all. Even back when I was in college, sleep was one of those things that I had to get the right amount of sleep. In fact, I went to a small private Christian school, and so part of being in that environment was that we had a room check and a curfew every night, and I believe the room check was at 10 o'clock. And so one particular night, my bed was situated in my room so that when the RA came in to my room, she could not actually see me in the bed, but I was already in the bed at 10 o'clock, 21 years old, sound asleep. And so she didn't see me. And so a few minutes after the room check, I got called down, woken up over the intercom to come down to the front desk. So sleep is just so important. And so we're going to give you some tips today on very practical tips on things that you can do to get a good night's sleep. So number one is to make and keep a schedule. Now this one, we tend to think, oh, kids need to be on a schedule and they need that structure. Well, even we adults need a structure when it comes to sleep. And so if you make and keep a schedule, a regular time that you go to sleep every night, a regular time that you wake up every single day, it's going to help you to get a better night's sleep.
Yeah, and I just want to add a caveat really quickly at the front of this. Sleep is one of those things that there's a lot of times there's clinical reasons for not being able to sleep well. So maybe there's a hormone issue, or maybe there's a child involved if you're a parent and you have a newborn. Sleep is going to be really, really hard. And so you're going to spend 6 months or a year of your life with suboptimal health. If you have a hyper anxiety or something like that where you're on medication prescribed by a doctor, these tips could possibly help. We understand though that we're not doctors. We're not providing or prescribing clinical advice to you. We're giving you some practical tips that we use in our life, and we know through researching that these can really help a lot of people. And like she said, keeping that regular schedule is so important. I just wanted to make sure that we understand the reality of having young kids in the house and some of those challenges. So anyway, the second thing that is really good is to make sure that you have a wind down procedure at the end of your day. So as you maybe for the last 30 minutes to an hour before your head hits the pillow and you're really trying to get into that first levels of sleep, that you have a ritual that allows you to do that. And one of the practices that I use that really helps me is journaling. Maybe for you it is watching nonsense videos, or maybe it's spending time with your significant other and just going through some of the things that went through the day and planning out the next day. Anything that you can do to get the next day's activities out of your head and get the current day's activities out of your head. If you can put it on paper, that is one of the tremendous benefits of journaling. So that's number two.
And then the next thing is the amount of time that you spend in bed. You need to schedule 7 to 9, I think 7 to 8, 7 to 9, something like that, hours in the bed. And your goal is to sleep for at least 7 hours. Personally, I like about 8 hours of sleep every night.
Yeah, the research is pretty conclusive on this. Everybody's a little different. There's some I forget what the sleeping style is, where you sleep in 30-minute blocks, and the long-term health implications of that sleep style are very, very detrimental, with the exception of outliers. So people don't plot in a graph. Those everybody else needs between 7 and 9 hours, and what you're looking for is 8 hours in the bed, and hopefully out of that 8 hours you're going to get somewhere around 7.5 hours of sleep. So
That's right. And so then the next tip is to do some form of physical activity every day. And this, I can tell you that I went through a time in my life where I didn't exercise much. And when I started exercising, I could tell a huge difference in my sleep. Now, also having to do with that is you want to try to allow about 3 to 4 hours between that physical activity and the time that you go to bed to give your body some time to shut down.
Yeah, we're not going to dive too deep into physical activity today with you on this. There's a lot of things you've probably heard about endorphins and things like that. So there's a lot going into that for that. I want to talk a little bit about food. So our next tip has to do with eating. You want to make sure that your last meal is 2 to 3 hours prior to you going to bed. We follow a time-restricted eating plan. Amy and I do, and that allows us to make sure that we're usually right around 4 hours between our last meal and when we go to bed. And there's a ton of reasons for that. So think in real simple terms, your body follows a circadian clock. So when you go to sleep, everything goes to sleep, and the repair mechanisms kick in. One of the things that you can think about as you're doing this is if you're eating a heavy carbohydrate meal and you go to bed and you go to sleep, your pancreas goes to sleep and it quits producing the levels of insulin required to shuttle off that glucose to the appropriate glycogen stores, and so it gets stored in adipose tissue or fat. And that's if it gets digested, because your gut wants to repair too. And so it begins the shutdown process as well, because as its circadian clock begins to shut down, it stops digesting food. And so you may have sludge in your gut all night, and you have to wait till the next morning before that even processes, and then it won't digest. It just kind of passes through your body. So we want to make sure that we're not eating within 2 to 3 hours prior to going to bed.
That's right. And then another tip is to use some essential oils. We're big essential oils fans here at our house and use Young Living essential oils. Some of our favorites to use at nighttime are cedarwood, lavender, peace and calming, clary sage, ylang ylang. What are some others, Joe?
Rutabaga is one that we use on our feet. Mm-hmm. So we put that on our big toe, and then on our, I run it down basically the third arch of the foot, and that it gets into your system pretty well, and that really helps me sleep pretty deep. There's I do some different types of depending on what I want, what my goal is that particular evening. I may put some some oils on my head to help me with my dream state and to increase the depth of my sleep. So I've used Inner Child, I've used Valor, I've used Idaho Blue Spruce. It kind of depends on what's going on, and it does change how I dream, what I dream about, and all of those good things. The other thing in this category, these essential oils are supplements, and so I wanted to throw another supplement out there for you. There's two others I want to mention. One of them is melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone that's produced in the body. However, some people, if you there's a lot of factors going on that we're going to cover here in just a second. But if your melatonin levels are not high enough, you're not going to sleep as well, and that has to do with your circadian clocks and lighting and things like that, which I don't want to get into the weeds too much on. But melatonin is 10 or 20 grams of melatonin before you go to bed is going to be fine for most people. You metabolize it out of your system in about 5 hours, and it helps you get into that deep sleep state. The other one is magnesium. Magnesium can be super helpful for a lot of people. When I'm taking magnesium, I will take somewhere around 800 milligrams of magnesium. That's not a clinical recommendation. For a lot of people, that's going to be too much for them, especially initially, and you're going to find yourself on the toilet for maybe a little longer than what you would anticipate. And so you want to, if you're using magnesium as a supplement, I've had tremendous benefit with magnesium. Right around 80% of the U.S. population is magnesium deficient because in the 1950s, after the Great Dust Bowl and all that, our agriculture, the soil simply we just don't have the mineral content that we used to, and so Magnesium is anyway, it's not really a mineral, but anyway, it was depleted out of our soil, and so it's a great supplement that you can take at night, and it really helps let all the muscles relax. And depending on the magnesium supplement you're using and how much your body needs it, that's a very palpable feeling. So that's another great supplement you can use in the evening.
All right, and then another tip is to limit screen time close to bedtime, or to use a light filter or blue blocks or true dark glasses. Now, I like to read before I go to bed. That's kind of one of my little wind down things that I do. And lately I've been reading a lot of books on my iPad. And so I have a filter on there that blocks out some of that light and makes it so that I can still use that, but I'm not getting that bright light that's going to signal my brain to wake up.
Yeah, if you want to get into some a lot more specific stuff on that, the two types of glasses that I listed, we're waiting on, to get ours, because there's you want to make sure if you're getting a blue blocker glasses, you're not buying the $20 versions on Amazon. They just, in testing, don't hold up and don't filter out that blue light. And the blue light is what is harmful for you, especially at night, because it changes your circadian rhythms and your body gets all out of whack. And when I was talking about melatonin, that's what it does. If you're getting that blue light in your eyes, it's turning off your melatonin production, and so you don't rest as well. But there's you can wear those glasses, and like you said, we use the on our iPhones. They have, I think the Android device has them as well. You have that. I forget what the function is, but you can turn it to the daytime, nighttime type of lighting, and so we have ours set for automatic, and that is okay. It's not clinically accurate, and so you're doing a better job than nothing. The program that I run on my computer that I use continuously is a program called Iris. There's a program called Flux that you can use. I believe that one's free. I pay for Iris because it's a much better program. It costs me $2 a month, and it blocks out 100% of the harmful blue light. It controls flicker. If you don't know what flicker is, that's some more research you can do on your own. It has to do with the Hertz cycle, and it attenuates that so that you're getting the right light cycles, because your brain can perceive a 60 Hertz flicker, even though you might not recognize it. Some people are more sensitive than others. The next tip is to limit bright white light within 2 to 3 hours of going to bed, and it's better to use the correct type of lighting. So, many years ago we got on the LED kick, like a lot of people do, for energy efficiency, and not realizing that LEDs have some massive downfalls. One of the challenges is the Hertz cycle. So a LED light flickers at 60 Hertz, so that means it's turning on and off 60 times a second. And your brain and eyes actually pick that up. They're hypersensitive to that. And so if you're buying LED lights, that's one of the challenges. The other one is we like that ultra white, huge white light, and that's very, very damaging for your sleep cycle. And it creates the illusion that the sun is still out when the sun is not out, and your body should be shutting down. Instead, it's ramping back up. So that really can cause a lot of problems. There are some lamps out there. Philips Vue has one. True Dark, if you're familiar with Dave Asprey, Dave Asprey has partnered, I believe it's with Edison, and they have a great product line out there for LED bulbs that are in the 1,000 Hertz cycle, which the brain can't see, and that's working really well. And they operate on hues, so you can program your lights up so that in the morning they're super bright, as in sunlight, and it goes through the day, it turns into reddish. So you're getting anywhere between, I think it's all the way down to 7 or 10 lux of light at night, which is about what you would expect if you were living in a life without all these benefits. And that technology was developed and is what's actually used on the International Space Station, which is really kind of cool. So anyway. All right, and I'll cover number 10 because I added that to the list since my wife and I put this list together, and I added that at the last minute because I think it's super important that you have a good system for conflict management. And maybe this is just because my personality. Amy likes to, at the end of the day, if there's anything on her mind, she likes to dump that out, and so she can rest better. And I cannot stand that because I am a guy and I process information much different than she does. There's a lot of things that I process and I dump, and then there's some things though that I hold on to, and it will stir me up and keep me agitated all night if I don't if we use that strategy all the time. And the better way for us to manage that is to just knock those things out earlier. If you have something going on, you deal with it then, and then you go through the rest of your day. And it allows you, when you get to the end of the day, that you're not trying to wrestle with these issues. It's like at night there's no text messaging. Because when you start a text message, then your mind is, one, you had a dopamine response, and then if it's something that's dealing with conflict or something that's too good or whatever, you're having all these chemicals processing in your brain that you don't need to. So we didn't put that in there, but dumping SMS after about 8 o'clock, a couple hours before you go to bed is the ideal thing. There's no sending, there's no receiving, there's no reading, none of that stuff. It all goes away. No emails, no social media. All those things need to be dropped. And so that is another way to look at conflict management as well. If you're scrolling through social media, I guarantee you're going to bump into something you do not like. It's going to create conflict in your mind. And if you can dump all that stuff earlier, you're a whole lot better off. So those are 10 tips that we use and implement on a regular basis. And so I'll go through them really quick. I'll try and do the 30-second burn so that you can get them all down. So it's keep a schedule, wind down, do a nightly task to wind you down, such as journaling. Schedule 7 to 9 hours in bed every night. Do some sort of physical activity every day. Make sure your last meal is 2 to 3 hours prior to going to bed. Use your supplements as you need them. Limit your screen time. Limit the lighting, the bright white lighting, and use good conflict management skills. So you want to close things out? Do you have any last words for them, babe?
Yeah. So just take what you can from this and implement it. And we hope that this helps you to get a better night's sleep.
All right. Well, we're here to help you in your health and wellness journey. There's a lot of ways that we would love to try and help you, whether it be through essential oils, whether it be through coaching, or any of the myriad of other things. That we here at J&A Healthy Essentials, we are all about holistic health and wellness and finding solutions for you that work. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let us know in the comments, and we can't wait to talk to you guys next time.